If you catch my drift.
Well played.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Enjoy the show.
Indeed.
So, Palmy, gotta ask, okay? Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen or where the items are located, but it's always fun to try to guess. If you were to put a bet on the first item we find down here, other than Morphing Ball, what are you going to go with?
I've seen a whole lot of solutions. Even with the seeds I've played today, I'm torn. I've seen everything ranging from Spring Ball. I've seen everything going to Plasma Wave. I've even seen in one seed Various Suit.
Wow.
So, Various Suit in E-Tank, in Brinstar E-Tank. So, I want to go with High Jump. High Jump would be really nice to see.
That's exactly what I wanted to pick because I think everybody knows that's my favorite item in the entire game. And plus, Cross wants High Jump too. So let's pull for the High Jump for the win here.
There's Vanilla Morph. That's something else I've seen too. Is Morph Ball's been very vanilla of late. Yeah,
that's true. Of course, I think oddly enough, it's a little more interesting when it's in the second location because sometimes, let's say an E-Tank or Reserve Tank is in the second location. Players can just opt to skip it if they mess up the D-boost. But when it's Morphing Ball, you have no choice. Oh my goodness!
Ice Beam. Ho 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 ho!
Wow, that's a really big deal to get that so early.
Oh man, This opens up a lot of avenue. Also, foosda accidentally messing up the Rio strat there. K going through him the first time. Oh man. Hope he doesn't die. That'd be a shame. Oh, careful, Foos. Just reset the room, man.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I struggle. If I don't get it in the first two jumps, I usually struggle to get it. So I usually just go back and reset. There we go.
Got it. Whew, with 24 health remaining. Will he go Billy Mays? Ice Beam is really nice to have early game, though. Maybe. I don't know where foosda is feeling. I don't know how foosda is feeling right now. So it'd be nice to see if foosda goes balls to the walls here and just goes straight to Meridia. Because he does have Ice Beam and he can do a lot. Even with what little he has now, on the way, I'm sure he'll collect a good vast amount of items. So, hype for early Meridia would be great.
Well, the interesting thing about finding ice so early is it's in terms of the damage or even the utility that you get out of it in the early game. It's not really that important. And probably, as some of the people in chat mentioned, probably even slightly annoying. But the one thing that it does do in this scenario in a randomizer is it's just one of those kind of big items that you got to have that or a speed booster. So it just kind of takes off the pressure of checking certain items later. Like if they never find speed booster but are approaching being able to go to Meridia, they can just go ahead and do it as opposed to having to search around for a bunch of different items.
Exactly, and ends up getting a whole bunch when he's literally looking for the one. Now the biggest question is, what in the world are we going to get at Bomb Torzo?
Let's find out. My guess is just an E-Tank since we haven't had one yet. Oh my goodness.
Speed Booster is the second item, oh my.
Oh baby.
So, loaded, oh my. Huh.
Okay.
I'm even having a very interesting time routing this now. This is unexpected.
One small, I sort of make a point to mention this anytime I notice something like this happen, but, one thing that I've picked up on over watching a lot of the top runners play is that, if you have a seed in which a lot of the major items are very easy to get to, it usually benefits the superior player significantly. Because if you're, a player who is probably not going to win on movement alone, you would prefer to take some chances or have an item be in a weird spot and just kind of hope that you find it first. Right. But in this case, like, you know, we don't know what's under charge, but the fact that they already have Speed Booster and can get it immediately, if it is a really good, strong item, that's going to benefit foosda probably a little bit.
Especially since foosda's got a lot of the excellence and experience. Now, I'm not going to cast any shade on InNoRush here, because we've seen his skills pretty top.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But I do agree. I think with foosda's really, really good with interior planning and routing in his head, so he's already getting a lot of good ideas.
Nice farm there by foosda.
I just realized he would have needed that. No revealing the mystery item to commentators. How rude.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It's like, no, InNoRush not revealing the item to commentators. How rude. Keeping that suspense. SM, ESPN, Ecfake Android, X-ray scope. I am speechless. This is interesting. Huh. If we get is a boot item or another beam, I'm going to be in shock and awe. This will be a very entertaining routing idea, because now either runner can go either to wreck ship. Well, they'll need some energy to deal with that, because, you know, no E-Tank Ghost would be a little bit difficult. But I want to put past foosda. I don't know about InNoRush, but I'm knowing foosda, he's got a reserve. He may very well.
Yeah, we'll kind of have to wait and see how it plays out, because at this point they still have, what, like 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 major items left that they can check. Actually, I think maybe 4 or 5 that they can check before they kind of get forced into a decision to go to Kraid or to Fantoon. So right now, obviously, health is a bit of an issue. But you never know. We could run into 3 E-Tanks in a row here shortly.
Well, speaking of E-Tanks...
Yeah, there we go.
Also, InNoRush with the X-ray strat. There's an E-Tank you're looking for.
Yeah, and finding a second power bomb pack this early when you don't have bombs is such a great comfort, because, you know, when you're a regular speedrunner, you're so used to having bombs in so many spots. When you do randomizers, you don't have them. When you only have 5 power bombs for a significant amount of time, it can actually kind of stress you out a lot and force you to farm in a lot of different places. So finding 10 this early is going to be, you know, very comfortable for the runners.
Very indeed. What does make it also possible, if they find 1 more, I'd say they'd be even comfortable going to Lower Warfare if they either A, get enough E-Tanks, or B, at this point, get a random Varia, which would be very, very interesting. Because that would open up literally every single area to the runners. At 10 minutes into the game, you can go almost anywhere, because they have ice, they have speed, and then they'll have, if they get Varia, that'd be a really interesting call there, because if it were me, if I had Varia, I'd just go simply down to Lower Warfare and just work my way up to the top. That'd be my thought.
Right, I believe... you know, and I guess it just kind of depends on each seed, but I think the most optimal route that you can have in a randomizer, if everything falls into place, is to kill Kraid, then head straight down to Ridley, and then basically, like you said, work your way up, kill Dragon, and then go to Fantoon. That kind of routing would have basically 0 backtracking. So we have the beginnings of a potential to do that, but we're going to need a few more items and just kind of see how it goes here.
Agreed.
Oh, wow. Oh,
baby. Huh. I'm being thrown for a loop here. I've never seen such a well-tacted seed here. Huh.
This is one of the most alright, obviously outside of you know, suits right now, but this is one of the most, like, sort of well planned out seeds I've seen, in terms of, like, when you know you have charge early and when you know you have ice, that already takes care of any concern you have about even just being able to complete the game. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
You
at
have
this
charge,
point,
you have ice, so bosses are Ridley's a no-brainer.
right. I mean, at minimum, you don't want to do this, but I mean, like at minimum, you know that you're not going to get soft locked at Mother Brain. You know that you're not going to get soft locked in Meridia. So now it just comes down to basically finding the suits.
All they need is suits, and they're good to go. Oh man. And their item counts aren't half bad either, with foosda at 25 missiles and InNoRush slightly behind 10 missiles, or slightly with 5.5 right now. But even now, they still got some really good items. I'm really curious to see. Here's what I mean. If it's a suit, and if it's a various suit, we've got ourselves a very entertaining run. Oh, foosda missing the first spark.
There we go. What's it gonna be?
Oh, trash tank accidentally picking it up.
Do you see that? He's trying his hardest to get away from that, but
accidentally touched the hitbox.
Reserve tank too strong.
Reserve tank. The gravitational pull of a reserve tank is too much. InNoRush opting to purposefully take it this time. It looks like he had another one he took too, I think. Getting our hopes up. Don't count it out yet, Fearless, because we still got a whole mess of items beforehand to check.
They're very, I mean, it kind of doesn't look like it when you just barely look, but they're actually very healthy right now. Both runners at this point now have 2 E-tanks as well as 2 reserves. So they have a lot of health. I mean, obviously, you know, I probably don't even really need to say this. I think everybody kind of knows, but they already have way more health than they would ever have in like a regular 80% run. So,
and with the reserve tanks that they both picked up, that's technically what you can consider 3 tanks. So if they wanted to, they wouldn't even have to pick up another E-tank. They could just go with the 2 in the reserve, and they're good to go.
Yeah. So at this point, they don't really have to fear. Like even if they just wanted to go ahead and head up to wreck ship, they don't necessarily have to fear like dying to Fantoon. I don't think with that much health. Whereas if you only went up there with like 1 or 2, it'd definitely be dangerous. So we'll see what they choose. foosda looking like he's going to head down first.
Probably wise, because there's more easier items to collect, which could make getting into any other area really easy. Will we see another Various suit? Because seeing Various suit now would just mean it'd be candy day for all the runners here. Ooh, a spring ball, still nice though.
And there was much rejoicing.
And then there was much rejoicing. Although spring ball does open up getting into lower north, or getting into, Meridia a lot more easily because of bounce strats. So opens up Meridia even more. This is interesting. I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever seen a seed kind of like this, getting charge, ice, and speed so early into the game.
No, I definitely haven't, but I'm not exactly the most experienced randomizer player. I mean, I've done several, but some of these players have been playing for quite a long time, so I'm sure there have been, you know, seeds like this that people have seen before, but they're very rare to have this many, like, you know, really important items so early.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, this isn't exactly Desi Rex item randomizer, so they've probably seen worse. Is this a race, or is InNoRush just cruising in hopes of winning? This is a race. This is, right now, as you're seeing, our runners are staying very close to each other. Even though foosda's got foosda's movement, as we saw in the last race, has been very, very smooth, so Rush is still a little bit clunky as he tries to get items where he probably could do without and do some very strict farming. You know, a little bit of discipline goes a long way, but for the most part, they're staying right on top of each other.
Uh-oh.
Oh, careful, Foos. Oh no! Crate
looks
DLC
like
Foos.
Crate is getting into prom. Let's go. He's going to enjoy himself. Let's see how long it takes foosda to kick him out.
I never heard it expressed that way before.
Yeah, it's
cool.
It's an old joke from my channel basically, but yeah, Craig's been trying to get in, and it's your job to keep him out. But looks like he came in and at least knocked the punch bowl over. But now he's sent back to the parking lot.
That's funny. That's my favorite.
Oh, baby!
Oh, snap. There it is, guys. Vanilla Varia. Kraid making a second appearance in the prom. Hopefully,
Dude, Kraid dancing again. Wow. We got a lot of Kraid tonight, didn't we?
We did. Oh, man. So we have various suits, so almost everywhere is open to our runners right now. This is even Rena. Sephi was right. Sephi was right.
Quote me.
Quote me on that. Very at ice twitch flying. Quote me. Twitch my sub off area.
Oh wow, bombs. Very nice. Another one of those comfort items.
So now they don't really have to worry about their power bomb count as much. In fact, they probably don't need to worry about it at all now because, frankly, all you use to open door caps. And now that they have ice, or that they have ice and supers and charge, it's I am still just shocked here because they literally can go anywhere. So it's anyone's game. So unless foosda and Rush have the same idea, it's going to be a race for it. This is anyone's race right now.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out real quick that we just saw from InNoRush is he was trying to speed through the room after Kraid that has the pirates in it and Mini Kraid, or aka Sklade, and he accidentally selected X-Ray and it stopped him in his tracks. So X-Ray can be a good item for certain things in randomizers, but you really have to be careful. You know, it's really important to try as often as possible to get used to using item deselect, because in situations like this, it's gonna like, I mean, how many times has that happened to you, like randomly? It's happened to me a bunch and it's really annoying.
Especially until I got really disciplined on making sure every time I don't need an item, I immediately cancel it.
Exactly.
Or just start selecting into the next time I'm going to need. Looks like InNoRush is opting to go check Vanilla Ice. Gets that gets that signed letter from Vanilla Ice, because that'd be great. Obviously not gonna get a Vanilla Ice because only is going to be a poser in his spot. You know what I'm saying? And with Varia, no heat runs at all, so foosda quickly coming over from high jump boots into ice, but yielding only another E-tank. And a high five to our runners here. Get out your high fives.
I certainly don't blame them. You know, there comes a point where, you know, I guess just depending on the comfort level of each runner where they will stop collecting E-tanks, but especially this early, I think it's usually a very good idea to collect as many as you can get, like, especially if you're coming across them anyway. If you haven't gone to Lower Norfair yet, you know, we've pointed this out multiple times, no matter how good you are, sometimes in these randomizers, you just don't go down there with the items that you're used to having, and everything down there does a lot of damage. So,
or you just make smite, or you make, or if you're feeling real rattled on a race, sorry to cut you off there, but if you're real rattled on a race, sometimes like using foosda's super fluid and confident movement, like his movement is great, and even though Rush's has been really consistent, his confidence isn't exactly there, which is why his movement feels a little bit more clunky. So if he makes too many errors, he might take a lot of damage. So I do give you that.
Yeah, it's a tough segment, and you know, InNoRush is a great player, and he's doing awesome. And in his defense, in terms of like looking at both runners, like literally anybody other than just a handful of people, if you were to compare movement, are probably going to look inferior to foosda, just simply because, I mean, there's no way around it. He's one of the top players. So, you know, in this tournament, we see a lot of people going up against some of the best in the world, and even though they're really great players, it's like when you're playing a master, it can be difficult.
As Pomley has been playing against Wild, I second this. Hey, space jump, always nice to have. We'll make getting through pillars a little bit nicer, and getting through parts of Lower Norfair and worst room in the game. Oh, nice. Looks like InNoRush is opting to go down. What is he thinking?
Well, I actually kind of like this play because, and again, it all depends, but I kind of keep going back to the whole theory about, like, if you know that you're probably going to lose if you just play the same exact route that the other guy does, then I think it's good to take some risks. And Crocomire is probably an area that foosda is not wanting to check if he doesn't have to. So if InNoRush goes down here and takes a bit of a gamble and finds like gravity or something, that could, in the long term, help him out.
If he gets in there. Finally getting that gate glitch after using quite a lot of ammunition there. Oh, Vanilla Wave. What is this seed?
So wait, we've had Vanilla Wave, Vanilla Varia, and didn't we have like one other kind of major one, or maybe not? Maybe I'm misremembering.
Morphle was vanilla.
Yeah, and I think we had a couple of E-tanks too.
A couple of vanilla E-tanks too. This has got a lot of vanilla in this seed. That's kind of how I like my Coke. A little bit of vanilla.
I think what I was thinking was Charge wasn't in its vanilla spot, but it was basically right next to it, and you just don't normally see Charge that early, So that's probably what I was thinking of.
Ah, right. All right, well, let's see. Bubble Mountain was probably a really, really good play by foosda there, so I hope Crocmire's either got gravity or high jump boots or plasma, because it's not looking good. But again, it's randomizer, so you never know. Vanilla Coke. Oh, a tiger. Vanilla Pepsi is also into, or Vanilla Dr. Pepper if you're that. Ooh, Pepsi Fire is also pretty alright. Soda et al. Gary Oak. Oh, E-Tank. I wonder if foosda's thinking the same thing.
I think foosda was about to go straight to Croc, and I think he just changed his mind.
Or is he? He changed his mind yet again. He opened the gate and then changed his mind once again. It's foosda, the mind change shifter. foosda. Although, being in all seriousness, foosda, I guess he's also feeling the same way I'm feeling, because the feeling I'm getting is, where do you go? You have so many items, everywhere's open to you, but you don't have all the right things.
Right.
I think he doesn't want to have to do a life. He's only 22 minutes in, so he's got the time to afford. So he's just kind of. I think what we were just seeing there, Kip, is we were seeing routing indecision by foosda, which is going to be a little bit harsh on his movement for a split second, but that's...
Oh, baby.
Oh, no.
Okay, so, real quick, everybody in chat always needs to keep in mind that the runners have no idea where items are, even when we know, the decisions that they make, sometimes they look like, quote-unquote, the wrong decision in terms of where the items are, but they might actually be the mathematical decision. So
right.
We talked earlier about how, the check of Crocomire is probably a really good play for InNoRush, given the fact that he's an underdog in this race, because foosda is probably not going to check Croc unless he's forced to. So if you can find a big item, then you give yourself some edge. But what foosda's doing here, one mistake I see a lot of people make is everybody knows what the sort of optimal routing is, but a lot of times people try to force the optimal routing. Like, they won't have the items necessary to go to Lower Norfair, or maybe they can get in, but they don't have enough items to make it fast when they actually get in there. And so I don't think that going to wreck ship in foosda's position is a bad move at all. I mean, it doesn't really take that much time, and he knows for sure that he can go up here, kill Fantoon, check a few items, and then if he doesn't find what he's looking for, then he can go back and kill, Crocomire later or whatever. So from his point of view, I feel like this is a much safer play than just simply, attempting to high jump bootless, lava dive, and all that.
And to add on to that, Avenger 546 in the comments made probably the best bit there is saying, quote, "Foosda's thinking, Croc can't screw me over twice." Well, turns out, Foosda, he might. Which now begs the question, if InNoRush goes all through Bubble Mountain, he is going to definitely find Space Jump. He's got a very comfortable amount of ammo and Charge Beam, and he'll have Wave.
He's getting close, but I would still say, like, even with Ice Charge and Wave, probably still safer to have 30 supers for Ridley, not only in terms of time, but also just in terms of, like, being safe.
I mean, he is safe with Charge, though. I mean,
well, yeah, he does. He is, but the fight would go a lot further. Like, basically, if he only had 20 supers, obviously he has a chance to hit every single one of them, and then he can hit all his missiles. But the simple reality is that we see runners all the time make mistakes. You're just never going to play perfect. And so he doesn't have a ton of beam damage. Plenty to kill Ridley. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to soft lock, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him check a few more minor locations and hope to get some supers so that he could just straight super Ridley.
That's true. And if you make notice, he does have a max of 25. Keep that in mind. He has a max of 25, so one more super missile pack, which there is a fairly good chance he could probably just walk right into one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think he'll have too much issue at all.
And if he does walk right into one, I think maybe his best play, since he's already in Norfair, he may as well go all the way to Ridley and get that boss. He has gravity, giving him a bit of an edge, not to mention he'll find Space Jump. So he can get right up in there and just go, to whereas Foosda's thinking, if I don't find gravity here, I'm either going to have to do a Suitless Meridia or a high jumpless Wabba Dive. Right.
And Foosda now cleaning up on Fantoon. I think we would be remiss if we didn't point out one of the coolest moments of the tournament so far when Foosda got I think it was 11, but I'm going to call it 12 because I think every legend deserves to grow a little bit. Like a 11 or 12 Doppler round on Fantoon. So
yeah, we were seeing
very
that
difficult.
When he was practicing that earlier, he was getting some amazing Dopplers in there. If Plasma is at Firefly or a Screw Attack or something, that will definitely play into Rush's favor there. And I'll tell you now, I'm kind of rooting for Rush because I love seeing Game 3s because that's where you really feel it on, is that Match 3 really tells you the real skilled player.
Oh, wow, another reserve
tank. Not what Foosda wants to see right now.
No, Foosda might already be having, actually, we all know that he's probably eventually going to continue to have flashbacks to last game where he was just looking everywhere trying to find the other suit. We know for sure he's not going to find it in Wrecked Ship. So I guess he'll have some level of frustration probably.
I mean, unless he finds Plasma, and that's about the only real good thing is either Plasma or High Jump. And that's the best he can really hope for at this point, at least as far as we as the audience and commentators know.
True.
Also, can I give shout-outs to our tracker? I do believe that is still Cheaty Face. No, that is Maniacal. Back to Maniacal again. Thank you, Maniacal, for all you do for tracking. He's keeping real good. I have an item tracker up here just in case something happens, and right as I'm about to look at it, he's already got it clicked. So shout-outs and follow the tracker. He's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, big shout-out to Maniacal. He's a really cool guy and doing a great job. But also, since you mentioned Cheaty, Cheaty's been doing an excellent job all tournament long of tracking as well.
Heck yeah, Cheaty's just been right there and ready when there's no one else there, which is awesome. Foosda picking up the grappling beam, giving him all of his top gear, but not what he was looking for. Foosda, oh, I feel so bad for you, buddy. This is not the wreck ship you wanted to see.
Not at all. Although, grapple is not a bad item, just in this case, especially given all the early items that were found, not nearly as useful as it could have been under different circumstances. But, yeah, and especially, like, every time that you find charge early, it kind of, in my opinion, mitigates the value of grapple just a little bit, because one of the main grapple usage, or one of the main ways that people use grapple when they don't have to use it as a progression item is to farm, like in Lower Norfair, getting ready for Ridley. But if you end up not really needing to do that because you have Charge Beam, then it kind of doesn't have nearly as much use.
Indeed, and I noticed that our InNoRush has 30, 30, 15, meaning he is well versed and prepared to take on Ridley, which is probably a smart move from him.
foosda just found an interesting item. Palmy, let me ask you this question, okay? Especially given the fact that, you know, put yourself in foosda's shoes. You already have Charge, you have Ice and Wave, so you know that you're not really going to be trying to collect a lot of minor items. Do you go and grab Spacer over there just in case you never find Plasma? Because it would be a pretty big boost to your overall beam power.
Especially that, and it does increase your output damage, and he has no idea where gravity is, so he may very well grab it so he has that extra damage. Although again, this is foosda we're talking about, so it depends on what he's comfortable with too. For me, I pick it up personally, but for foosda, he's comfortable with a whole lot of different, like he's done just Ice and Charge against Mother Brain, he's done a lot, so with what foosda I've seen him be comfortable with, I don't know, so we'll have to see here. We'll hear, won't he?
What we're seeing right now from InNoRush is kind of what we were discussing earlier. When you enter Lower Norfair, and I'm going to kind of look at this from the any percent old route perspective, okay? Because there's a lot of runners in the tournament that have played, you know, just either any percent or 100% and haven't done any of the other sort of like challenge categories. When you enter Lower Norfair without the typical powerful items that you would have in a normal run, the rooms can take a lot longer and require you to use a lot more ammo. And so we just saw the worst room in the game take, you know, 3 or 4 times, maybe even 5 times as long as it might in a normal run, just because when you don't have the beam power, kill the pirates.
Or the screw attack, even.
Or screw attack, yeah.
Because screw attack makes getting up that middle room a lot harder, because then you have to bomb and go back down, jump it up again, make sure you're dodging the pirates. It can really take a toll.
Yeah, I think screw attack. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that last item that foosda just got, I think, was another trash reserve tank, and just all he got was Spazer out of it, and that is not what he was wanting to see.
But I was gonna say the screw attack is, to me, like one of the most friendly items to somebody who's a little less experienced, because it basically just negates any kind of danger you could be in Lower Norfair, because you can literally just screw attack through everything, including Ridley's, you know, dives and whatnot. So screw attack, one of the best items.
Indeed, they do have Charge, so they can pseudo, but it's, as you said, it's not as comfortable. foosda doing the awesome spark and clipping method to get into Gauntlet here, which is a
high jump. Let's go.
Oh, another E-Tank. Oh, poor foosda. So he is not happy. I don't know if he doesn't go to Croc, he's going to be missing out on a whole lot of fun. 'Cause I think right now, more than anything, he is hunting for gravity. Because not having gravity at this far in the game is kind of a red flag of, oh crap, am I going to really have to do this? And no, I can't tell you how many runners really want to go out of their way to do a suitless run.
Right. Well, given the fact that gravity could not have been at Gauntlet, I'm kind of like curious to know what foosda was like. I wonder what item other than gravity he was like hoping most for, because obviously plasma, high jump, and screw would still be very beneficial given what he has left to do. But he obviously didn't find anything useful there.
I'm kind of curious. I agree with you there. I'm kind of curious as to what's going through his head, because his ammo counts are not good. Even with Charge, I mean, he can get through Mother Brain, but his ammo counts are a little bit stale, so I don't know what exactly he was really looking for there. As I said, I noted it earlier, he had a bit of happen to him real fast. So I'm curious if that indecision is now beginning to haunt him, thinking, where in the world is gravity? And it's starting to get to him.
Here we're seeing the value of grapple beam. I feel like I say this every time I commentate, but this moment right now with InNoRush,
oh yeah,
and I'm not even exaggerating. It's literally going like maybe 2 or 3 times slower than it would if you simply had grapple beam, maybe even more. It's not.
You can just grapple one side or the other.
Yeah, and it's not his fault. He's not doing a poor job of farming. It's just that the way you have to farm without it is way slower. And since he wants to fight Ridley with probably full supers just to make it faster and safer, it's just going to take him a little while here.
High jump boots. Oh, oh, foosda. I'm betting foosda right now is beginning to really shake his head and be like, oh no, is it really going to be here? He got his high jump boots, so foosda now isn't going to lose jump height from having speed booster on, which I don't think either of us have really touched on, because runners have been having to overcompensate not having high jump.
My guess, knowing foosda, and again, I mean, you never know what he'll elect to do, but my guess is that we see foosda with the high jump boots pick up. I think he will go straight to lower Norfair, and on his way out, when he still doesn't have gravity, that's when we'll see him go by Crocomire.
I do agree. If foosda is going to play that kind of routing, that's, oh man, poor foosda. It's like Rush realized he missed a total of 2 supers, holding 1 back. He's not soft locked, but he's gonna have to take maybe a couple of charge shots to really even out some health here on Ridley. Oh, yeah, he's gonna have to take some shots for some power bombs. Power bombs would be, if they double hit, would indeed be 400 damage, so.
Yeah, this fight just taking a while, and this is we're actually kind of seeing what I was referring to earlier. Like, I mean, yeah, you can definitely kill Ridley with only charge and wave and ice, but at the same time, if you get a little nervous or have like a little bit worse of a normal performance and you miss some supers, and then the next thing you know, you're missing shots, this fight can actually, you know, become slightly dangerous, and that's kind of what we saw happen here. Ooh, screw attack. That'll make the exit a lot better.
Yeah, that's a... Again, I feel really bad for foosda because I think you're right. He is indeed going straight down into lower Norfair.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Oh man, poor foos.
Of course, in this case, not having gravity is not like... Let me put it this way. Not having gravity is not going to hurt foosda at all unless he somehow manages to like decide to skip Crocomire for some reason, which is not really gonna happen. But him not having gravity in lower Norfair is not really gonna be a big deal. It's just gonna be annoying to him that he has to go by and, you know, not waste, but spend the time going to Crocomire to get it later.
Oh snap! Choking on the lava dive here. Oh snap! Twice. Doesn't have a whole lot of energy to really play around with this. I don't know the last time he saves if he keeps missing. Oh, he's got it this time.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I spoke too soon, but I'm actually pretty surprised to see him do that. I wonder if he was just putting on a show for the people.
I don't think he was. As I said earlier, we've seen a lot of cases of runners' indecision and runners questioning, so I think he's really curious as to where in the world, and again, keep in mind, really every tournament randomizer I've both seen and played, at some point pretty early or decent in the game, you find plasma pretty conveniently. And we haven't even seen our ear of plasma. I mean, we know where everything else is. And I know foosda's like, I haven't even seen gravity. And he's like, oh no. So he's fearing worst. I think he is thinking worst case scenario.
Yeah, I was basically just kidding. But you know what I really think that lava dive was? I think that was karma for the timer that foosda is using.
Blap, 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 blap. foosda checking gold Torzo. Not a bad call. I wonder if this is where our plasma's going to be. Or no, I think... Yep, it was an E-tank. He is going to opt out to take it, which is going to give him a lot of E-tanks. I guess that's why foosda really has that runner's nervousness going on now, because he's look at his E-tanks and then has no gravity or plasma here. Or screw attack for that matter, which means it's still going to be semi-slow for him too.
Okay, so in terms of, you know, where can foosda gain time versus what InNoRush has done so far, because InNoRush is now made his way out of Lower Norfair. foosda's almost guaranteed to gain actually a good bit of time if he elects to farm prior to Ridley because he has grapple. But it wouldn't really shock me if he... I guess we'll have to wait and see. It wouldn't shock me if he didn't necessarily farm to full 30 and he just kind of went in because, you know, he's ran new route and is very familiar with fighting Ridley with this exact beam setup. So I think he'll gain some time on the Ridley fight as well. But InNoRush clearly ahead in terms of, you know, being able to move on to a more optimal path because he has not pathed up to wreck ship yet. In fact, InNoRush is going to be able to run the most optimal route here.
Indeed, and I'm also betting you, since he's checked most every other major item thus far, I'm thinking since he's likely going all the way into Meridia, possibly into Mama Turtle's room, I bet he's going to find himself some plasma.
Yeah, we still have several major items that are just, you know, kind of in the way. He has 3 items that he can get to very quickly and check.
So Mama Turtle, and on his exit out, if he opts to go down, he can go through Sandpit, technically being on the way if he opts to go out.
True, although that would be even if he didn't check it, that pathing would be slightly slower, I believe, than going the back through the Botwin way because you're already at the top there. But yeah, he certainly could opt to do that, but he kind of doesn't really have to. You know what I mean? Like at this point, he's in go mode. He just needs to, you know, he's just probably wanting to find plasma if possible, but he doesn't have to have it. So that's a good position to be in.
Indeed. He does have charge, ice, and wave, which can output some pretty steely damage.
And we can probably safely assume that InNoRush will not find Spazer because I would just be really surprised, you know, after he kills Dragon and then goes and kills Fantoon. I'd be shocked if he didn't leave Wreck Ship almost immediately.
Nice X Factor by foosda there. Double X Factors by foosda. Triple. Oh, baby, the triples.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, okay. Missing the 5th, but damn.
I think that 5th deserves a combo breaker.
Combo breaker.
But still, very impressive.
Very impressive. Quad Factor. Botwood's going to be pretty simple too. Like if he only had ammo right now, he'd be screwed because right now he has not enough supers and missiles to take on Botwood. You need at least 10 supers or the equivalent in missiles to take on Botwood.
If I'm not mistaken, because I'm you know, we're trying to watch both runners, but I don't think foosda elected really to farm at all. So he just saved a really decent amount of time there prior to Ridley.
He had farmed only a little, but not much.
Yeah.
I think only for a couple of power bombs, but not much. Him getting his screw attack on his way out, and he really wrapped up Lower Norfair real quickly.
InNoRush now, grabbing that E-Tank after Botwoon, and gonna head to Dragon. We won't have any fried shrimp because we don't have the grapple beam.
But maybe we'll see sparked shrimp.
Maybe so.
Shrimp. Excuse me.
But yeah, finding screw attack after Ridley for any player is obviously going to be, you know, very nice. But here, like, foosda basically can just run straight through this. Like, it's not going to take him any time at all. He will check Firefly, though, which I don't believe InNoRush did. So that's going to be a little bit of time. I wonder what's over there.
It'd be really, really nice if it was plasma, because that'd give foosda a lot of beam power and a little bit of speed to gain from that too, because he can kill enemies much more quickly. Excuse me, quicker.
It's easy to make comments like that. I do that all the time. But we just saw foosda utilize Spring Ball, which I think last race I saw some people in chat basically begging him to use it.
And he did. What a crowd pleaser. Also opting to Morph Ball hop over that Name. Something you don't see very often. Oh, sad E-Tank, but hey, he needed the energy so he doesn't have to go for an energy refill, which is nice. Ah, that was a pretty good spark there.
Yeah, very nice. Another good one.
Another good one. Ooh, he gets one more, and then maybe those last two supers he's got there. He'll be in missing the spark though. Oh, missing it twice. Oh man, don't choke, man. There you go. Didn't get the line. Oh man. Oh no, not like this. Come on. Oh, he's not going for it. What's going on?
There it is. Oh, did not get the blue suit there, unfortunately. Okay, now, you know, obviously people can have different opinions here. I would personally, if I was in InNoRush, I would check the item behind Dragon. Because, number one, you know, he doesn't know where Spacer Plasma or High Jump Boots are. High Jump Boots is still probably, over the course of the run, going to save more time than just checking, especially if you were able to get a baby skip with it. But if Plasma's back there, or even in his position, if Spacer just happened to be back there, that would be a pretty big win in the long run for the fight. But anyway, I mean, I guess it's all up to the individual player, but I think I would have checked on that one.
And you were indeed right beforehand, too, if foosda opting out to come and check Croc after going through. If InNoRush can get out of here quickly and not check any items, he'll have a long fight with Mother Brain.
Yeah, for sure.
But if he does really well and keeps a very concise and consistent going, I think he can actually get through and maybe give us a round 3.
foosda's
opting to take the weight strap because having Crocmire on frame or Crocmire on screen lags. Excuse me, goodness. Although, if I was in InNoRush, I would still be collecting a little bit more on the minor items side. Especially since you don't even have either Spacer or Plasma, it's wiser to have that extra damage handy at a moment's notice. Thanks to Crocmire for being such a croc. Having the best shoes in the world.
Well, I would say this is very similar to the match earlier, although I would say that at this point exactly, I think InNoRush has a little bit bigger of a lead than he did in the previous matchup, but I don't think by any stretch that this match is over just yet. Clearly InNoRush doesn't have to go very far to get to and kill Phantoon, and literally he can just leave as soon as he kills Phantoon, whereas foosda has to go all the way through Meridia. But you never know what's going to happen, especially with InNoRush. At this point, we know he's not going to find Plasma, and he's not going to find Spacer unless he just opts to spend a lot of time going up to gravity location and reserve location. So there's still some things that could happen that would allow foosda to catch up some time. I just don't know. At this point, it's kind of hard to tell exactly how far behind foosda is.
Unless foosda did check a couple of items and got Plasma, he can't do the second or the fastest method, which is the X-ray method. He can do the second fastest method, which is the the grapple shrimp. So Getting all through that, though, is going to take a good chunk of time, in which Rex ship is A, still closer, and B, it's a much shorter distance to get in. So.
Oh wow! Did you see what just happened to foosda there?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, totally ran out of supers to get in that gate. This time taking it a little more carefully. That little time spent to go and grab those supers may have just given InNoRush some time. As long as InNoRush doesn't go out and check a whole lot of items, he'll be in good standing.
My assumption, and again, you never know what each player opts to do or what they're comfortable with. You know, I think that's kind of important to remember anytime you're watching one of these races or doing commentary. It's like, you know, every player has a certain level of comfort or knows kind of what they want to try to check. I would probably assume that he might check the first location when he comes out of Fantoon just to hope that it's another beam. But if he doesn't, you know, when he doesn't find anything there, I think most likely he'll probably just leave and try to go to Torian and finish this thing out.
That would be his wisest move, and I really hope he does that, because even with the beam combos he's got, that's still better than having to go back and search, because you and I both know, so does chat, it's likely going to have to be video somewhere.
Yeah, plus, I mean, let's talk about if he stops and refills, and then, you know, if he gets down to the baby skip attempt and has full ammo, by the time he kills Mother Brain 1, he should still have about a third, maybe, or maybe even just slightly more, maybe like 40% worth of Mother Brain 2's damage or health in ammo. So that means that he doesn't have to spend the 100% of the fight just using Wave, Ice, and Charge. So that's good for him.
Right. That's one thing I have noticed with this seed. There wasn't a whole lot of miners to be seen.
No, not nearly as many as we typically see. But a lot of that is because we found it so early that they just elected to skip a lot of them.
That's true. Which I gotta say, if InNoRush had elected to pick up a couple more minor items, he'd have a bit more of an edge getting through some fights. Because with this count, as you said, he'll have a good chunk of health removed off of Mother Brain, but that Charge Ice wave is still a lot of damage to take time to do. Because if foosda elects to go find, even with foosda having the added damage of Spazer, which adds a mere 30 to 45 damage on top of his beam combo, it still is a great deal. Alright, so InNoRush just finished his final boss. foosda already starting his final boss fight. What a race. At 53 minutes.
Oh, wow. InNoRush, unknowingly, but we know he is making the 100% correct decision here. He's just saying, hey, I'm not even going to risk going over to check this one major. I've got what I need to just finish the game, and he's off to the races. So that's actually, in terms of, like, he doesn't know this, but that's definitely the best play given the item that was going to be over there. So he's going to head, refill, and then we're about to see Torian, ladies and gentlemen.
Good call. foosda getting a blue suit. That's a really good call by him, because with how quickly foosda can get in and out of there, I'm gonna go straight there. In fact, my prediction, I think we're gonna see both runners in Turian finishing at a very similar time, if not maybe even foosda pulling out a nice lead.
Yeah, InNoRush is definitely ahead right now, and I would say probably favored in terms of from here to the end. But at the same time, this is definitely not over. It kind of looks like foosda's far behind, but I don't think he's nearly as far behind as it might appear at first.
Oh no, with the amount of speed and precision he's got in his routing here, I think he can quickly get to Turian. Victorian, or however people like to say it.
Yeah, first and foremost, and again, it's like we keep going back to this. We're just trying to commentate on what we see. InNoRush is definitely a good player, but I would be really shocked if foosda did not move through the Metroid rooms faster than InNoRush. That's what we saw last match. And then foosda has a shot at a baby skip that InNoRush literally cannot pull off because he doesn't have high jump boots. So if foosda pulls that off as cleanly as he did last match, that's another 20 to 25 seconds that, you know, he could save. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens here.
I will correct you on one bit that I got corrected on as well, is that high jumpless baby skip is indeed possible. It just takes a lot of jumps. This was... Holy cow, what did foosda just do there? Holy crap! Did you see that?
That was pretty interesting.
What the heck just happened there? That's spring ball. He got it. At Scotty C in chat, could you please explain what in the heck just happened?
So two things real quick. InNoRush just had a bit of a difficulty with the first room. That if foosda goes through faster, he might could save about 6 or 7 seconds. The high jump bootless baby skip, I guess, yeah, it can happen, but you're not really saving nearly as much time because if you have to do all those jumps, you know, it's not going to save nearly as much time. And on top of that, I doubt that's a specific move that most of the runners practice. So I just don't think we're even going to see an attempt at it.
Indeed. Also, Scotty C explaining and a couple others, what we just saw from foosda was the very frame perfect spring ball jump, which is, to my now recollected knowledge, that is one of, if not one of the hardest tricks in Super Metroid to pull off.
I just remembered as well. I'm sorry. Were you gonna continue to talk about that?
Oh no, I'm all good.
Without high jump boots, foosda is like 100% guaranteed to save time on the escape as well. Especially, like, number one, it's definitely faster, period. But number two, a lot of times when players get to the escape and like they're not used to not having high jump boots there, they end up making potentially even more mistakes. So that'll be an interesting spot to see what happens when both players get that far. But foosda has made up a lot of time already.
Yeah, he's made up a ton of ground.
Like, he's only 2 major rooms behind. If he gets baby skip, it's going to be very close in terms of when each one starts the Mother Brain 2 fight. And foosda's Mother Brain 2 should be, you know, a little bit faster because of the beam upgrade, but at the same time, it's not going to be as fast as if the players only had like 10 supers or something like that.
Exactly. And he does, keep in mind, he does have 10 more missiles. And twice as many super missiles that InNoRush does, which InNoRush, I think, is kind of going over in his head because now he has just barely enough ammo if he doesn't do a good Zeb skip, which we did see. He did do that awesome Zeb skip, and I'd love to see it again. Oh, here comes that baby skip.
Okay. At this point, I think foosda, given the items that he has, I think foosda is actually technically ahead right now. Now, I don't mean like literally ahead, but in terms of expected value, I think he's actually just pulled into the lead.
I do agree. It all comes down to both movement and how well you do it.
Oh, he's going for the swag speed booster.
Swag spark. foosda just pulling out all the stops.
Having some difficulty with the Zeb skip here. Oh man, that's taking up a lot of time. There he goes. InNoRush doing a great job so far on Mother Brain 2.
foosda's got so much more ammo to get him through this fight, meaning he has to fire much less at her.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think about this at the time, but you know, if both runners elect to stand-up glitch, foosda will also gain some time there as well because of the extra damage on the with the spacer.
Indeed.
Wow, this is a great race.
Oh man, I'm just itching to see who's gonna get it.
I'm interested to see who's gonna get catch-up first.
foosda not using his 15 supers? What is he doing? He could pull ahead right now.
I think he's gonna wait for the catch-up, and now he's gonna use it to finish her off. Yeah, this should get him all the way to the end. Yeah, foosda is officially ahead now at this moment, and that should do it. Looks like he is not going to do stand-up glitch, or no, wait. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's gonna do it.
Oh man. Oh man, foosda just pulled right ahead.
Man, this is so close. But yeah, foosda at this point has at least like a 20-second lead, and as we mentioned earlier, you know, unless something just really weird happens, he should have an easier time getting out as well because of the high jump boots advantage. But wow, man, what a race. This has been a pleasure, you know?
Good try InNoRush indeed. Good try to both runners. This was... I don't know if this is gonna... It may, because I don't know which one... Alright, keep... One is when the baby got its last shot, or got the last shot on by Mother Brain. Yeah, foosda's made up a lot of time.
Yeah.
I'd have to say over 30 seconds.
I think the most interesting decision, and again, like I very rarely want to try to call a decision a mistake because there's so many factors. Like, you know, number one, the runner doesn't know if they're ahead or behind. The runner has no idea where the items are. I'm just really curious to see what would have happened if Plasma had been behind Dragon and if InNoRush had chosen to check it. Now, clearly, you know, we don't know what was there. It could have just been another E-Tank. But if Plasma had been there... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say we will know after the credits roll because that's where... that's where it'll all be at.
That's true. So, I mean, it's hard to tell for sure, but I think if that had been there and he had gotten it, it would have put him in a more dominant position in the end game.
Oh, well, not saving the elements. GG.
Yeah, GG foosda. Congratulations to him for 2 excellent races and moving on to the next round of the winner's bracket. And, you know, InNoRush only just a minute behind here. Congratulations to him as well. Excellent, excellent race. To go against somebody of foosda's caliber and only be behind by about a minute or 2 in each race is very, very commendable.
That was really, really, really good.
And I look forward to seeing a lot of his very competitive matches continuing into the losers bracket. We have, at this point, we have a lot of very good, solid runners who are going to be duking it out with each other to try to stay alive.
Yeah. InNoRush finishing second, literally a minute and 15 seconds behind. GG. Good gravy grief. That was a run. Oh. Do you think we can get them in here for a... Because I don't know if there's going to be much anything else going on later tonight, but we can get them in here.
Yeah, I'd love to interview the runners if possible. Obviously, it goes without saying, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure to throw a follow to both foosda and InNoRush for putting on a great show here. And we'll get to watch the credits here and find out where all the items were.
Indeed.
I wonder what it feels like to beat the game and then see your name in the credits.
Oh yeah, there's foosda, Leo. There's Feral, Stray, Wild, Balthazar, Keku, Typo, Mythical. As you can see, we're in no rush to get them in here.
Okay, foosda's Torian time was 6:36. Curious to see what it was for InNoRush. It seemed like that was the area where foosda was able to catch up because he had the extra beam and stuff like that. All right, let's find out.
How's it going?
Hey, foosda, congrats, man.
Plasma was at Reserve Tank Meridia. Oh gosh.
Yeah, those were, let's say fun seeds.
Those were so foosda. I gotta tell you something that might just blow your socks off here. InNoRush pretty much had you beat, but what happened? Your movement was so clean because when he was literally entering terrain as you were exiting Meridia, and your movement was so clean by the time he was at Mother Brain. He actually, I guess it wasn't him being slower, it's just you picked up speed so sequentially that you literally, in the first race, you passed right by him. Like, as he was refilling at the ship, last race, you passed right by him, speed boosting by the ship. This one, you literally had Spazer, he did not. So you literally had the upper hand in beam strength and in ammo counts. And literally, as a Mother Brain 3 fight was going on, you surpassed him and won.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I was, I didn't really hold high hopes to win that race. I mean, when you're talking about terms of routing, it's really a toss-up if you want to, you do like the whole Norfair cleanup and you say, okay, do I go direct ship or do I go to Crocomire? And, I mean, you have to count like the two main items in wrecked ship that are about as slow to get as Crocomire are the bowling items. And it's like you choose to get either the bowling items or you choose to get Crocomire, and I guess that's the way it goes.
Yeah, speaking of that, foosda, and I'm not trying to embarrass you or anything like that in front of everybody, but we talked extensively about how you are, very clearly one of the premier players of this game in the entire world at basically every category, and that you have a lot of randomizer experience. So, like, with that in mind, with this question in mind, give us some insight on what's kind of going through your brain. There were a few moments, especially in this second race, where you had options to do different pathing. One of them you just covered with going either to Crocomire or heading up to wrecked ship. A second one, though, was earlier where, you already had speed booster and I think 2 E-tanks and 2 reserves, so you had plenty of health, and you could have technically opted to go up to wrecked ship first. Talk us through a little bit about what you were thinking at the time and why you chose to instead go down to Norfair.
the fact is, the stats just aren't there. If you want to go to wreck ship first, more power to you, but if you play the odds, you don't go up. You just don't. They're just bad odds. It's never worth it. You just don't want to go up. I mean, the only way you're ever going to be ahead when you go to wreck ship first is if you must find an essential item there. If you're not finding a suit or charge, you're behind immediately. So if you don't find any of those 3 items in wreck ship, you are going to be behind anyone who goes down, because there's so many more items from the check. The other thing I was really thinking about is I was planning on doing bootless Lower Norfair lava dive, and I was like, you know what? Number 1, I'm feeling kind of lazy. Number 2, I'm kind of out of practice. I've only played probably like 3 hours tops of this game in the past like 3 weeks, so I'm not feeling too good about my gameplay. And that second race definitely showed it. I was making a whole lot of mistakes. So
I noticed that on a couple, like when you were in Bubble Mountain, how you had just indecision going left and right. You looked like you were going to go up, then you went down, then you were going to go to Croc, and then you went back up and opted not to. Like, I saw a lot of indecision on your part there. Just, I don't know.
Yeah, that was just me. That was me arguing with the gambler mentality. Oh, it was Crocomire last race, so you know.
And it was this race too, which was kind of sad.
Yeah, I know that struggle as well.
Yeah, I don't know. There isn't much to say. I mean, like, InNoRush had good routes and good stuff, and I don't know. It was close.
Yeah, 2 great races in a row. Another interesting thing about this one that we don't normally see, we spent a lot of the early game discussing how interesting it was that you guys found ice so early, and then right back to back you found charge. So when you find charge that early, and when you also find one of those items that's like, one of the kind of the gatekeeper items, like you either have to have speed or ice typically to get through some of the sections, how does that sort of adjust what kind of miners you're looking for? Because clearly it's not an 80% run where you're only going to grab 10 supers or something because you'll get plasma. How do you try to manage your miner count when you get charged so early in a randomizer like that?
I still feel like even though you have charge, like I think I picked up quite a few items. Like I picked up a lot.
Yeah.
And like, even though you get charged early, the only item that really helps you drop miners, the 2 items are ice and plasma. Like, you get ice, and you're like, okay, I don't need to get so many power bombs. So I made a mistake in picking up too many power bombs. I didn't need that. I didn't need that 3rd pack. But for the supers and ammo, I think those were definitely helpful. Like, they definitely helped in Mother Brain and stuff like that. And I was trying to manage my ammo well to not have to farm anywhere, and I ran into trouble in Bot Wound as being super slow. Bot Wound, I probably could have afforded to farm a little bit before that. And the stupid green gate, oh my god, that was so annoying.
Hey, before I forget, I have to ask you about the most swag moment of this race.
Oh yeah, that frame perfect spring ball jump, which was beautiful, by the way.
Oh,
that was amazing.
I wasn't even gonna say that. I was gonna talk about the 4 in a row X Factor on Ridley going for the 5 in a row. If you had gotten the 5th one, were you just gonna keep doing X Factors until you ran out of power bombs?
I mean, there are setups to do X Factors when he pogos. Yeah, I would probably still do them if I was going for it. But it's hard. I mean, it's the gamble after the 5th one. The 5th, like, you can get 5 consistently, and then if he goes into a pogo pattern, you can keep on going. But if he doesn't, you I don't know. I haven't figured out a way to consistently get a 6th one if he swoops. So I don't know.
Cool. Yeah. Well, foosda, I'm gonna step out from here. Congratulations, man. It was a pleasure watching you. Look forward to seeing you in the future matches. Palmy, thank you for co-commentating with me. Oh, and I'd just like to say good night to everybody that watched, and once again a big shout out to Maniacal as well as Feasel for helping put everything on, and everybody else who's helping with the tournament. It's been a pleasure so far.
Indeed. Well, thank you.
Everybody, y'all have a good night.
Well, that was fun, everybody. Thank you, chat, for being such an interesting chat you are. And for those of you who are always looking towards the next thing, if you bring up the schedule here, I don't know what else is going on Speed Gaming tonight, but make sure you are following Speed Gaming 1, Speed Gaming 2 to get those updates for when stuff like that happens. Also, check out speedrunslive.com. I almost forgot that there, speedrunslive.com, and check out all the speedrunning awesomeness there. And if you want to get more awesome record-breaking stuff for strats, even excuse me, I got tongue-tied there. If you want to see more groundbreaking, record-breaking awesomeness, or see some awesome strats in the making in some amazing runs, check out the Speed Demos archive. I know we don't broadcast that a lot, but if you really want to see other games that have been recorded previously or monitor some other things, check out Speed Demos archive for more. Again, this has been Palmy. Thank you to Southern Kip for doing all you do. And again, thank you to my previous commentator for doing an amazing job for the time he was in here, Cross Product. And we will see you all on the next mission and in the next races that may come to be on Speed Gaming. So this is Palmy saying goodnight. Thanks, chat.